who study Chinese demography.
Alright,
That
let's look at
the
these
CCP
people.
has probably
Let's
been
look.
lying about their
Alright, is this
population
like
for
a?
years. It's probably
Is this
not
like
1.4 billion. It's probably sub 700 million.
They're
And the
looking
only
at
reason it's that low
Epstein's
now is
number.
because it was probably around 900 million before COVID, and some are
This dude's an
speculating that
idiot.
up to 100 million
Oh,
people
dude, he
died
said
during COVID,
speculating.
because the first iteration of COVID would have been the most deadly.
He's kind of
And part of the reason
I mean,
they
that's
had
all
to say-
speculation, right?
He said, "Oh, he said."
At the
Well,
very
but
least,
that's not
we can
spoiled
be
on
sure that a
Well,
shit.
but
Well, he just said that.
No,
He said the start of his statement that there's
manufactured.
speculation in that. So
Yeah, he said
I'm just saying it's all speculation until proven
He's at-
otherwise.
he's at
You
least
kind of go,
110 IQ.
well, you have
but
to
do
go
you
off of the
think we're
words
ever going to get that
consensus.
information out of the
110
CCP? So we can rule that out. I don't have to bring it up but I
That's-
do.
Yeah, no,
think
but
that-
it's speculation until
Oh,
proven
make
otherwise.
sure you keep saying.
It's-
Sure,
it's-
but
it's not
what about,
possible.
what about
It's
this?
not possible.
It makes sense to me
my-
that China would lie about its population
Yeah, China
because
would lie
a
about that,
it's
Yeah, I'm not saying that China could not lie, but I mean it's speculation until like otherwise proven.
Make sure they know it's
No, it's not possible. I have an in-law who's Chinese, and they have a fuck ton of family in the major cities in Beijing and Shenzhen, which are two of the most largest metropolitan areas in China. They have had zero family members out of an extended family, like in the I don't know, fucking dozens. Like if you had 1/8 of your population die, you would see it.
Okay,
It's
well,
not
I already
fair.
said we can throw that out because I don't have enough evidence to substantiate it. But my question is, these people who are claiming that China is lying about its population figures to the tune of, let's even assume that they were 40% off. Let's say they have only a billion people out of 1.4 billion.
No way.
I think that puts it in a place where you need a certain amount of population for specialization.
Okay, that is still 3x the population, more than 3x in the United States.
Well, and like not even counting that, but like say, like, do you think all 7.6 million of the people in the U.S. want to work in manufacturing or like sweatshops?
No, that wasn't
Money's
the
right.
thing I was testing. I was bringing up something where I'm looking at their
Yeah, I know, but the way that you're phrasing it is casting doubt on the entire argument that quote we will have enough people to take over these jobs because they're lying about their population. Otherwise, why else would you bring it up?
Well,
Yeah,
I don't mean
there's
much
no way
water.
that-
Tangential.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because it's like, I mean, she's using numbers that are publicly available as of what we know right now. I mean, there could be. I mean, I know there's strong arguments that, but it's all speculation until we have a credible source otherwise. So, I mean, the entire point of bringing up the lying about the population is casting doubt upon our entire argument.
Let me address it more directly then. I don't think we need to bring 80% of the world's production of like handbags here to America. I don't see that as necessary at all. But that is currently what China does.
Yeah, but
I don't
I'm saying,
we need
but
nearly the same number or the same percentage of workers. That would
okay, then would you say the blanket tariffs on China are wrong then?
Why is that relevant?
Because you're saying that we wouldn't need to bring all the manufacturing back. What's happening right now is the large blanket tariffs on China on every single industry.
Hold on, I don't understand where this pendulum swing of saying we want some manufacturing to come back to the U.S. and we try to say, well, we could never be like China.
Well, that's
kind of the stance that's the stance that the
is.
administration is taking.
If we want a whole bunch of
interpretation,
tariffs,
or is that what they're saying they want to become?
Okay, if you take hold on,
want to become China
real quick. If you go ahead and tariff China over 125%, what do you think is going to happen? And there's no exceptions.
It rise and they lose 18 trillion, which is what's happened so far.
No, it's going to rise the cost of goods to make it more competitive, quote, in the U.S. So it's oh my god.
Do you mean Lululemon pants? Do you mean
yeah, bring back sweatshops, and then you say that's not good to bring back all the.
Why are you jumping to conclusions?
I'm not. How is this jumping to conclusions? What do you think is going to happen? Tell me what do you think is going to happen then.
Somehow this affects you more than affects me. So I'm trying to understand.
No, I'm just curious because you keep on saying that this is going to. You just keep on saying something, and then I'm just like, okay, well, from my logical thought process, will you let me speak? From my logical thought process, I go down the path what you said. And then you say that's not what's going to happen. So I ask you, what's going to happen when you put blanket tariffs on a country
I don't
with
know.
no
I
exceptions?
haven't made a single deterministic claim, but you're trying to pin me on something.
So why are you making claims in the first place?
I said maybe bringing back some manufacturing to the U.S. doesn't mean, quote, we want to be just like China.
Nobody said that.
Then
though,
what? Yeah. Then what is the point of putting blanket tariffs on China?
That's the thing, right? Like, so I don't think before all this, nobody had any idea what tariffs do. All countries have tariffs before all this hot mess. They are meant to protect an industry, right? Everyone freaked the fuck out about Canada's tariffs on dairy, which, by the way, statistically, God, I don't have them back up in front of me, but statistically, I think from 2020 to 2023, because we didn't have 2024 statistics, I think the amount of dairy products that we were sending to Canada increased by 40% in those 3 years, 40%, and yet those tariffs, right? Those 250% tariffs that Canada have, did not come into effect because they were set at a statistical limit, where that statistical limit is to prevent American dairy industry from completely bulldozing Canada's, right? Because what country?
I don't think it would have even then, because Canada actually has a pretty strong dairy union, doesn't it?
Bill Gates.
Yes, but that's
why the statistical limit is there.
Right? It's why we have laws to say don't put rat poison in food, even if they're not going to. We have to have those laws in place so people don't fucking do it.
The whole point Jade is trying to make is that there's this.
Canada can have a tariff on something that for an industry that they care for, but we can't.
No, we're not saying that at all. I don't think you get what Jade is saying.
No, I'm not. I don't understand. Can you put it? Pretend I'm 5. Like I don't.
Okay.
know.
All right.
Okay. Tariffs. Okay, Jade. You can. I just want to say tariffs are not inherently a bad thing. They can be used to protect industries, but initial.
No idea what
I want to make before Jade takes over is that tariffs can be used in a bad way and they can be used in a good way to protect the industry, but they can also be used in a bad way. And then I'll let Jade say her point.
Yes. That's essentially it, because if you look at it like this, a country cannot produce the levels of goods in every industry across the board and it's be financially feasible, right? Like let's limit this down to just a state, right? Just a state. Can whatever state everyone is living in right now, can you produce everything that you need day to day in that state? Just that state. Can you do it? Can they do it?
I think he said he wants to bring some of it back, not all of
It's a
it.
little different.
Then that's fine.
Hold
But
on,
when
that's
you
not a
put
fair
those tariffs,
comparison. There aren't different currencies in all 50 states, though. There are different currencies depending on the state you're or the.
Well, we're not talking about currency here. We're talking about goods that are produced in one state. It's like saying, why do we get a whole bunch of like sand, concrete, and like mine goods from Mexico? Because we can't produce it in the United States. Why do we get so much lumber from Canada? Because we can't meet the level of demand in the United States, so we get these things.
That's assuming you're trading with people who are benevolent and are allies to you. China is not the U.S.
Well, we tariffed Canada and Mexico.
Well, I don't agree with the Canadian government, but we are technically allies. So,
well, as of recently, it doesn't seem like we're allies. But I don't want to jump into like if we're allies or not. The main thing is that do you think that this bulldozing way of using a chainsaw to like enact mass tariffs on every country, and specifically China, is like a good thing?
I don't think the world was the target. I think China was the target, and I think the shock to the system is already doing damage.
So why did he put tariffs on the world? If it was just China he was after, why also put tariffs on the world?
Because I'm whatever. I don't have a way to substantiate this.
Hold on, could you just like? I just want to know. Do you think that Trump is wrong on his plan to implement tariffs?
He's never wrong.
Who me personally?
Yeah. Do you think he's wrong?
No.
You're a nigger.
Why not? Because wait, hold on. It just goes the way that Trump is doing it goes against the entire idea that you were just saying.
Hold on.
Are you gonna let him speak?
I told Condemn because he asked the same question. He said, "At what point will you admit that the tariffs were a bad idea?" And I said, "In 6 to 12 months, if it shows that it just increased inflation and it made unemployment go up and it weakened our position strategically." And it didn't affect China whatsoever, and they came out on top. Then it completely was a wash.
Okay, but I just asked for your opinion, and you said that you don't believe that Trump is doing it away. And then I asked if you disagree with Trump, and you said no. You think he's doing a fine job until proven otherwise. Why is it that
saying give it some time so we can find out?
Why?
Yeah, I know, but he said that he would like a more specialized approach.
Process 12 days into something that might take 1 to 2 years to realize.
Because we have professionals and experts which have studied like past precedent cases of this, and we see that it doesn't work.
Have they ever challenged China to an economic degree like this ever before?
Well, why would we want to bring back all manufacturing from China into the US?
Hold on,
you're just jumping from point to point,
It's not jumping from point to point because this is what they're trying to do.
You're trying to talk about experts and historical precedent when I'm saying we're living in unprecedented times. So why should we trust the experts on something that hasn't happened before?
Because you can take context clues out of stuff that's happened in the past where we see similar situations.
Why is it that Chinese manufacturers are now doing the same thing as like Tony from the LED lights company, and they're putting out their own
Tony-based.
and they're trying to make it so that American industry will trade directly with Chinese factories as opposed to going through the American government. They're desperate. There's
because a lot of businesses, hold on.
There are containers piling up at the Chinese ports because they don't want to export stuff, thinking that there's going to be retaliation between Xi and Trump, thinking that they might just raise the tariffs indefinitely in this tit for tat.
Yeah, would that not be? Hold on, how is that not a bad decision for companies to make? Why would you import stuff when your country? When you hold on, let me finish. Why would you import stuff when you're dude? Why would you import stuff when your president is literally like the volatility of, I don't know, what's the massive volatile, like the weather and
because like do you know how competitive the domestic manufacturing is in China? Like all these companies say that a lot of these companies like are doing like kind of like, you know, they're shipping stuff like from like Temu or Shein or whatever to the United States. They're saying they can't compete in the domestic market because the domestic margins are like ridiculously like razor thin. Like they're all worried. Like you can just Google.
And if those companies can't trade with American partners, they have to try to compete with 11 other countries domestically or trade with countries that are touching China.
Could function properly without Chinese support, buddy.
Well, it's not. I'm not saying China in general, but like I'm saying that
you guys need to learn.
It goes both ways. Stop that.
Yeah, I'm saying it goes both ways here. Like the American market is only I think 15% or like even like I'll be generous 20% of Chinese exports, but it's literally like much bigger for the amount of imports that we get.
Why does this affect you so much more than it affects me?
No, it doesn't. It affects us the same. But what I'm saying is that these moves on a macro situation lower the value of the U.S. dollar and weakens the U.S. fundamentally. Yes, it does. Have you not seen what's happening to the U.S. dollar?
Also, China.
Wait, hold on.
You are right. I forgot about that.
It's attrition. It's whoever blinks first. The gamble is that
it's not.
Yeah, wait, did Trump blink?
Baby girl,
Here's the thing.
It's literally who blinks first.
That's $1 trillion.
We gon' take a ride, we gon' ride down Hollywood. Holla at me, homeboy, like it's Hollywood. I wish you would get.
Why do we want to hurt our citizens? Like, why are we? Oh my God, this is the problem. Is that you're okay hurting other people just as long as
82% of private investment in the market is owned by the
Ask
top
about a
10%
nigga,
of
yeah,
income
came in
earners.
so shy.
So
Now I'm so
real quick,
glad with my bathing apes. Most people know the game
Doesn't
cause we
really.
paper chasers.
No, I'm not talking about that type of hurt to our stock market. I'm talking about the direct increase of inflation that American citizens are going to see.
You see it with your glasses on, magnified for sizzle. If you see me with Snoop,
So inflation is at 1
and we
to
smoking the
1.2
kush, turn me up in the booth. Yeah, VIP is where you find me, but I be the coolest motherfucker G in the street. Not a G is a gangster, I'm a G is in grinder. Y'all niggas know the game, man, the blows is shining.
The inflation numbers are huge.
Right past the cloud, I scream Kid Cudi, I scream this shit loud.
No.
Cause I'ma put it down from
What are you-
here to
what are you talking
Chattanooga.
about?
My Cleveland City
you're jabbing.
representatives rolling with the Rugers. From niggas
I
down in
know.
Cali that roll up in the Bentley. We show them what these niggas gotta grind for every penny. Hey, all up the
Are you
this zone,
kidding me
all
right
up the this zone, all up the this
What is
zone.
inflation
Shout to
officially
Busta
right now? I
Rhymes,
wanna hear
shout
it.
out to Jada, shout out to
It looks like it's
Jeezy.
2.4.
See you on the block, man.
Inflation?
No. Why did the CPI report come out and said it was about 1%?
It's not.
What are you looking at? Where are you getting it? Because I'm getting it from
The
the Y
CPI
charts. I'm getting
report
it from
that came out last
I'm
week?
getting from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I'm getting it from the U.S. inflation calculator. Like it all says it's 2.4, and it just dropped from 2.8.
Is that nominal CPI or is that something different?
Annual inflation rate.
Inflation and unemployment.
Let's see if I'm misremembering something here.
And it's using to get the annual inflation rate is using the CPI data. Is what it's using.
Yeah, I just want to say your statistic about institutional
Seasonally
investors.
adjusted CPI 2.4%. So year over year, and they changed
Yeah,
it. So it's
2.4.
only 2 years worth of data.
because more people working.
Hey, the whole institutional investors owning 82%, that 82% also includes pensions and 401ks. So even though it's managed by institutional investors, it still hurts the average American.
Well, I'm not too sure it actually.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't agree with that entirely because I think there's some nuance there. But the main thing is that imposing tariffs. Do you think that companies are not going to increase the price of where they get their products onto American consumers, or do you think that they're just going to eat the cost? Out of curiosity,
they're not going to eat all the cost. Some of it will be passed to
Well, so then I'm asking, is that not raising inflation? Because inflation is the direct rising of prices.
Assuming everybody buys the same amount of goods as those adjusted prices, then
no, because when inflation happens, people buy less goods. Even though you have inflation, it means your dollar is worth less. And not only that, but hold on.
The second part of my statement, though.
Because what was the second part? Go.
Assuming people buy at the same rate they would at those higher prices.
Yeah, and I'm saying that it doesn't matter because they're gonna inherently buy less because their dollar's gonna be worth less. Because the prices will be more expensive.
4% inflation not appropriate now, even though the Fed said that they're going to the Biden.
Because inflation takes a second to catch up. Have you never gone to Econ 101?
Oh, so when we were talking about lagging economic indicators last week, and you didn't give me the time of day, now you want to bring it up in this context?
No, I have never said that inflation doesn't lag behind.
Oh, maybe that was condemned. Never mind.
That might have been condemned because.
Okay, my bad.
Inflation. Inflation does lag behind.
Okay.
And it takes a second to see market conditions adjust for what's happening.
Yeah, we're in agreement there. That's kind of why I'm saying in 6 to 12 months, if we don't.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it will take 6 to 12 months. I think we'll see it in the next 2 months.
There are bigger factors that do lag behind more than just.
Okay, then my other question is do you think that these moves made by the Trump administration are causing stability within the U.S. and the U.S. dollar specifically, as well as bond yields being spiked because of the mass sell-off of U.S. bonds? How's that? These moves by the Trump administration are causing bond yields to go up because of the sell-offs by other countries, because the U.S. is seen as volatile and untrustworthy, which is weakening the U.S. dollar.
I mean, I haven't looked at bond prices off the top of my head.
Well, it doesn't matter what bond prices are. I'm saying bond yields, specifically the demand for U.S. bonds, which is how we raise money to deficit spend.
Are we just discounting the 50 to 70 countries who came and talked to Trump and said hey, can we just go 0 for 0? It's ridiculous. Why would we all have to pay more? Let's just.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything. That doesn't have anything to do with the bond yields and the trustworthy of the U.S. dollar and the trustworthy behind the U.S.
The majority of the countries worldwide who trade with the U.S. have some.
Why do we have to all pay more? This is ridiculous. You just conceded it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because we're still going to be paying more. We're still going to be paying more.
What are you talking about? That's all countries coming back to Trump and saying.
No, and not all countries are coming back. I have yet to see all these countries begging the U.S.
How many trade partners does the U.S. have?
A lot. I think every country.
Okay, I don't know what the number is.
It doesn't matter how many. All that matters is the large ones, right?
Well, it doesn't even matter the large one. It's do you think that
China?
Hold on.
Why do you think
this wasn't even
about China this whole time? So thanks for making my point, Yak.
No, because China is one of our biggest trading partners. But that's not even my point. What I brought up on the second point, I'm past that already. What I'm asking is the weakening of the U.S. dollar. I think is much more impactful to U.S. citizens in the long term than it is these tariffs. Do you think it's good that foreign countries like Japan, that Canada, and that China are planning, or Japan has already?
This ad break is brought to you by QueenTits.com.
How does the U.S. sell bonds? If these countries invest in,
I don't know how that.
Then why?
I don't really care.
Well, but it matters. I don't think you understand why the U.S. dollar is so strong.
Electronic certificates with a number on it around.
No, it matters because why is the U.S. dollar so strong? Why is it worth more than any other currency?
Because we have a really big military with bases everywhere.
No, that is not inherently why the U.S. dollar is strong.
And we're the reserve currency because of it.
But why are we the reserve currency? Hold on, why are we the reserve currency?
We're the reserve currency because after World War II, they were like, hey, we need. Sorry, didn't that one person make that one deal where we moved away from gold?
It starts with a B. It starts with a B. It's the
and they were looking for a good alternative, a stable alternative.
Something Brentwood Steel.
Yes, and everyone ran with it because the U.S. was seen as stable compared to most of the other countries, which suffered large losses.
You just got
and not only that, but hold on.
But
going past that,
red for $60.
because the trust in the,
which means you also
there's a lot
just
of
got the
factors that go into this. But one is that the U.S. dollar and the U.S. specifically is seen as stable and sees that it cannot default on its debt and seen as a good trading partner and a good moral standing for other countries. So what other countries do? Hold on.
All countries today.
Hold on. Here, let me finish my point.
Probably say yes.
So where do people put their money to keep it safe from other countries? Specifically pension funds, businesses, investors, and so on. They buy U.S. bonds, which we use to deficit spend in the United States. So when... No, because it leads to a point. Because it shows that there's strength in the U.S. dollar.
What's the point of bringing this up?
So when there's lack of trust in the U.S. and it's not seen as stable and we start doing like erratic moves and stuff like that, it requires other countries sell off U.S. bonds, which increases the yield and devalues the U.S. dollar.
Wait, hold on.
You guys have no idea how economics works. That is something that I never meet.
No.
I'm seemingly fine.
No, I think you gotta take a deep breath, okay? I think you're thinking the world is about to end.
No, because they keep on talking. No, I'm not thinking the world's gonna end. I'm just thinking that the U.S. dollar is gonna be weaker in 6 months than it is right now.
It already is, dude.
It already is. It's dropping at an exponential rate.
Fine. Everybody's fine.
Yes, everyone's fine. I'm not saying that everyone's not fine.
Fuck you, I got mine.
Can
I think that you guys have no idea that isolating the U.S. is like a bad thing.
Look. I want to be the Teflon man when it comes to just like black pills. I just don't like the doomerism, man.
No, I'm not saying that everyone's going to suffer, but I'm saying that your U.S. dollar and that your currency in the world will be worth considerably less than what it is right now.
Okay, so how much?
Everybody's going to be better.
How much net did people's 401ks go down? 4%.
I'm not talking about the stock market, dude.
You were talking about the stock market.
No, you're using that as an example.
Is bonds.
So okay,
holy shit, you guys are so thick in the head. It's so hard to have a conversation when you don't even understand economics.
You're moving a lot.
No, take a look at the 10-year Treasury note, right? And then you can spread it out by for the year, right? The rate that it's at right now is not that low,
because it was that high
compared to what it was before.
That was over a 10-year period, which it reached that point and it decreased over a period of time. The amount of volatility,
4.378 right
yes, I know, but look at how fast it's rising or the spikes that it's seeing compared to the rates that had it, which it had to reach.
I don't get why I don't get why I can't just go to the payday loan center, get $100,000, go buy bonds with it, and then show back up in 25 years and just give them the money back. I mean, you know.
I don't know.
No, because it doesn't matter what the average is what I'm telling you. It matters how fast it spikes. That is what matters more.
No, what matters is
like this spike in maybe a month is
spiking. So why do these things affect you, but they seemingly don't affect?
Because they don't affect me on a personal level. They affect you and us the same on a global level.
I don't know.
Is what you don't seem to understand.
I walk down the street
I don't know.
some guy can't.
Yes, because your dollar is going to be worth less.
Oh yeah.
It already is.
Yes,
brother.
Like,
brother,
what?
What
inflation going to happen?
That's going to happen regardless. What are you talking about?
Yeah, our dollar's worth like 3% less every year.
Quantitative easing, your dollar purchasing power goes down. It's not because of
treasury.
Honestly, nothing.
We all expect this.
Ain't this what they've been
like
waiting
if you're
for?
not being smart and using your dry powder to invest or put it into something that's going to your dollar is just going to leave especially that's how it's always been.
I'm buying 2 living guns.
No, he's referring to a different type of technique.
Dude, everybody needs fucking tools and shit breaks. Everybody needs guns when they
Compare the cost of parts more.
I buy private defense contracts, shares in private defense contracts. I'm up 3x already.
They go out of business every so often.
No, I'm up 3x already, dude.
That's it?
Yeah, that was the answer.
On 200K.
What do you mean that's it? That's a lot.
No, it's not, dude. Crypto.
Wait, what
dude,
the fuck? You're at 300%?
That's an hour in crypto. What are you talking about?
Are you buying options right now?
I don't trust crypto, so.
I do. I made a grip off crypto.
Ugh.
Wait, which defense companies did you buy?
All I can say is, I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that every economist is wrong. I hope that every university is wrong. I hope that everyone is wrong and that you guys are right.
wrong during COVID.
Why do you have to phrase it that way? That you're pleading
because you guys literally believe that. I hope that we're all wrong and that what I'm saying isn't going to happen. And I hope that you guys are right.
Okay.
I hope that you guys are right.
There's ups and downs, there's flashing lights and the shadows and mist, and we're gonna be all right.
I hope you guys are right.
Well, you got to remember, snow doesn't grow anything. It doesn't fix anything.
Get a nigger bitch up in the White House. You're
I actually don't know what snow does.
I'm saying I hope you guys are right.
You get food delivered to you.
Snow must make a buck because he was able to afford a pretty sweet house.
Dude, I hope you guys are right. Is all I can say.
I used to work in finance.
Looking for a guy.
I work in finance. That's where all the money is.
Look, I'm probably the weirdo here who has like no retirement savings and no 401k yet, but I have a lot of dry powder and a lot of silver.
Wow, you should go on OnlyFans.
Yeah, bro, you're good.
Nah, fuck silver. You gotta go gold, bro.
Ratio of silver to gold is kind of weird, just off mining
I'm gonna
ratios.
make fun of all the people with money that don't deserve it because it's all inherited.
As long as people want it in the future, you're golden.
Well, it's also an industrial metal. We're gonna eventually need it.
It's like that one guy said. Yeah, this guy cooked meth for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, look,
is
Snow still here? Yeah, he's here. I said the same thing to Condemn. I was like the tariffs thing right now, like we're all blowing up over 10 days worth of data, and I think in 6 to 12 months, like things will even out. People will make deals, and a lot of the hoopla will kind of be settled, and we'll be like, well, that was a hell of a month, right?
About the future.
Yeah, we've been through so many of these. It literally doesn't matter.
So, like, I'm kind of like this is just, I don't know, this is one of my things. I kind of like chaos. I kind of think it's funny.
Yeah.
So when the world loses their mind, I'm like, yes, good.
Dude, no one.
So you're a bad
I haven't lost my mind. I just understand how things work, and you don't.
And
And that's the end of the day.
Not you.
Because you are not.
I try to educate you on how the U.S. deficit spends and why your U.S. dollar is so strong. And you said, why do I care? How does it affect you? And you just don't care. So there's no point.
Hold on. I'm going to address that directly. If that's why you were here in the first place and we had historically better faith conversations, then I take you at your word. But I'm trying to be better about it too. If that's honestly what you're trying to do, I'll take you at your word.
And then he goes,
no, there's nuance to like most situations, and like
I understand that. And
causing extreme volatility in markets is not a good thing for countries.
My one thing is I try to admit when I truly don't know something, so that I can learn.
Yeah, volatility.
We went over this shit, but back on the Turret days, dude.
Extreme volatility in the market affects the retail traders more than it does the whales. Why? You can make an argument that statistically the whales lose more, all right? But they're not getting.
I'm not even talking about volatility in markets. I'm not even talking just volatility in markets. I'm talking volatility in like policy. I'm talking volatility in trade. I'm talking like all the factors that contribute to like what makes an economy grow.
Right, and so I'm assuming that argument comes from a basis that you want the world to respect the U.S. in some capacity, right?
Point? Is he just a terrorist?
Yeah, yes, no.
Is this dude just a terrorist or something?
You care less about what other.
I mean, that's what I want the world to respect the U.S., but I don't want it to be in the capacity of we just say, "Hey, we carry the largest military." Like I think that's
I really
don't care about the world, and now he's saying like.
Full transparency is
strong? Like, he's not
I want society just to move forward, and when I see things going backward, it makes me a little bit sad because I would hope that we are above our past differences.
Okay.
So when I see like these moves that make no sense, when I see that these moves that make no sense whatsoever, no, because you don't have to tear down an entire system just to fix something.
Sure, I agree with that.
So like when I see these moves that make no sense and there's no thought behind them, and he's like flip-flopping every single week, and I see insider trading from his cabinet where there's like a spike of purchasing of call options, and it's like, is it just blatant market manipulation?
But when Nancy Pelosi does it for decades,
dude, I'm not. This is not whataboutism. I fucking hate like Nancy Pelosi.
All right.
Well, no. Actually, no. Telthor has a good point because this has been going on forever, dude. It's literally.
Yeah, I literally hate them all, but it's
I think we all agree on that, right?
The scale, like,
especially now.
Especially now, and then maybe
I am not arguing about that because I 100% agree.
Well, that's why I'm on the idea that these bureaucrats they better themselves instead of they're not servants. They don't serve our country.
Yeah.
Yes. So why would we elect them?
Yes, they do.
I don't know. Why would we elect them?
Did you vote? Why would you do
Yes,
that?
I voted.
Why would you be involved with that?
Because I voted for the lesser of the two evils.
That's what
When you
everybody
have someone-
says. Literally,
You
everybody
voted for
says
Kamala.
Because what else are you supposed to say?
Well, what else are you
Kamala
supposed
was
to
not
do?
the lesser of two evils, bro.
Reach for the Glock, bro.
I mean, with how Trump's been doing, I mean, he just supported a legal green card resident of the United States and says he's not bringing him back and he's staying in CCAR.
Bullshit.
What do you mean? He's literally defying the Supreme Court in 2 instances
So,
here.
in resume, you're just a partisan act. You know? That's all there is to it. Because not all economists agree that it's a bad plan.
Get this fucking Fez out.
Just most of them.
Look,
Just
here's
about
how you
99% of them.
Here's how you disrupt the system that you see as your enemy.
That guy, bro, you really are retarded.
Here's how you disrupt a system that you see as your enemy. You create a chaotic environment in which they don't know your battle plan, and I think, in theory, that's what Trump's doing.
Dude, listen.
I don't think Trump knows his battle
I
plan.
don't think Trump even knows what he's doing, or why would he be Hold on.
You can believe that.
Why would he be flip-flopping on tariffs every other week, saying, "Oh, there's exceptions"?
Every goddamn word
different
out of
sectors
his
that
mouth,
should have
he
the
says
tariffs
something
on them
different
or
either the
not.
next day or the next week.
All right, okay. I live a more peaceful life because I'm not worried about the minutia. I don't know.
I mean, I live a peaceful life as well, and I'm not worried about it as a whole, but I'm worried at like a global level.
To live a peaceful life. That's why.
What was that?
You make enough money to live a peaceful life. That's
I thought you guys were going to invade Canada. What happened to the invasion?
I don't want to see guerrilla warfare when our president is saying that we should annex Canada and cause economic warfare.
This is gonna be like the movie Civil War that came out a
Dude,
year ago.
why would Canadians just like roll over on their bellies and let America like annex them?
What is this bullshit?
Then why would he even make the statements? Why would they be
Canada,
saying that?
It was Greenland. To be clear, it was Greenland.
We said about Canada as well. We said that Trump would like to see Canada as a 51st state and that we should annex them.
I don't believe he's going to do that. So
then why would he even say it?
I don't know. Maybe he's joking around.
No, they were saying he was 100% serious.
I was really looking forward to that. I thought there was going to be something happening.
Oh my god!
But
hold on.
I'm saying if I was president, I would definitely crack a joke or two.
It wasn't a joke when he said it.
I don't know.
It's not a joke.
All the mega bros are all for invading.
Okay, hold on, real quick.
All right, come on.
Out of curiosity, do you think? Hold on. Out of curiosity, do you think making statements like that and saying that you want to annex Canada and saying that you want them to be the 51st state and calling the Prime Minister, Governor Trudeau is causing, quote, good relations with one of our closest allies who's right on our border?
First off, all of that was to hurt Trudeau, which I'm fully...
No, I'm just out of curiosity. Well, I'm just out of curiosity. Do you think that's causing good relations with Canadians?
I don't care.
That's your problem, is that you care about no one else except for yourself, and that's the difference between you and I. You just don't care.
Trudeau is a
I don't have this love over wisdom mentality that you do, that we have to try to go out and save the world.
No, I'm not trying to save everyone. I'm just saying,
that he's better.
I just care about other people, and I understand that there's
okay.
a society.
He's helping people out by
you have a love over wisdom mentality. That's called martyrdom.
Bro, I don't even give a shit about other countries. I only care about how the prices are going to change in the U.S. That's all I care about.
Hey, guess what? Cheap energy is going to help you with that.
Yeah.
And oil
Cheap
prices
energy?
are down.
What about everything else that I have to buy on a day-to-day basis?
Like what? What do you buy on a day-to-day basis?
Make more money. Stop being poor. Make more money.
What do you buy on a day-to-day basis that is more expensive?
Comes from the guy that doesn't know how to work a nail.
Groceries for number one.
Hold on.
Your groceries are up.
Hold on. Are you talking about energy being cheaper?
Wait, hold on. We grow most of our food here.
Let me explain to you what happens. Some retard like this guy looks at his chart and says, "Inflation's not that bad right now," but he doesn't touch grass and realize that everything's expensive.
That's your excuse for everything.
What? Are you trying to say that I don't touch money? Like what?
Dude, I mean, end of the day, is Talthor says he has a very individualistic mindset, and he says he doesn't care about other people or anyone really besides himself.
I think you're categorizing me a little inaccurately, but
you don't know how it works if you have dollars. So
if you
own dollars, you have to care about how much the dollar is worth. Like you might think that like if the dollar devalues, it doesn't matter because you live in America and you don't give a shit about other currencies. Like
this is what I go back to every time.
Your standard of living is the US dollar so strong? The dollar is so strong. Like
why can we afford the most? Why can we afford the most expensive military in the world? Because the U.S. dollar is so strong. Our economy is so strong.
And we put it all on credit. That's what the national debt is.
The national debt is raising money from other people that have trust in the U.S. dollar.
What do you think that stands for? What do you think quantitative easing is? What do you think printing money to pay for our debt is?
To print that money to deficit spend, you have to raise money from people. U.S. citizens, other countries, foreign citizens. It happens all across the world. There's trust in the U.S. dollar. When you start eroding that trust with other countries, they sell off their bonds, like we're seeing from Japan, like we're seeing from Canada, like we're seeing from China.
When the government has a $2 trillion deficit, we have to add that to our national debt.
Dude, you have like zero understanding of how anything works. So I highly encourage you to go to your community college, sign up for Econ 101, and then Econ 202 and 203, and then Econ.
I'm good.
That way you can worry about the world.
I don't need some highbrow, pretentious.
No, just so you have a understanding of some of these concepts.
Bro, I don't know how we're like the same age and we have a completely different worldview.
How old are you?
Because I actually go outside.
How old are you guys?
Okay. I'll be 34 next month.
We talked about this.
I'm 35.
I touch grass when he walks outside. That's what he meant.
They're all fucking poor.
Bro,
like I've actually traveled around the world. I've traveled to almost every single state besides like I think 4. Like I've been to school. I have so many different experiences where I've been able to directly interact with these concepts, and then you just come in here and say you don't care about any of it.
No, Snow, like great for outing yourself as a champagne socialist, dude. You know, it's great.
Yeah, he sounds like he's white splaining to me that I should travel more with all the money I have.
No, I'm saying that you need more experiences to understand something.
Oh, gotcha. So traveling to all 50 states will give me the experience to realize.
No, it gives you understanding that not everyone's economic situation is the same.
Oh, got it.
Oh, God, yeah.
I thought everybody was.
Is that you travel to some shithole country?
Look, instead of saying I don't understand how your brain works, you say you.
No, I didn't say I don't understand how your brain works. I know how your brain works. You said you don't care about it.
Always seeing the responsibility of knowing how things work on the opponent.
Have you ever been to the hood,
No, because I tried to explain to you how the U.S. raised money. You said that's not how it works. When it clearly says on their website how it works.
Actually, you jump on a lot of topics. You jump from one topic to another.
Because there's nuance in everything, and a lot of things connect.
No, if you're telling us to travel all over, then why are you on here criticizing us on Discord?
I'm not criticizing you.
He already traveled.
Dude,
no.
he's doing the Destiny debate. He just talks fast.
Hold on, you're telling me I don't know how the economy works? That sounds like criticism.
Yes, then tell me how the U.S. deficit specifically and where they get that money from.
And rise back up.
How is that criticizing? I'm asking you how the U.S. raises its money, where it gets that money from, and how it spends it.
That you don't know what the economy is. That's criticism.
And I want to see you rise the.
Because I'm asking you how it works.
Why are you so sensitive about?
Like I'm asking how things work, and you're just like, saying, stop criticizing me, stop criticizing me.
No, I don't give a shit if you criticize me, but you can't own the statement that you are criticizing.
But when you can't even explain basic concepts or how things work, clearly you don't know or you do know.
Got it.
3 drawers, 3 socks.
Love champagne socialism, bro.
That's it. Fuck you, motherfucker.
Hey, I'd feel pretty good if I owned $1 million home in California too.
You're a spoiled fucking brat, bitch. Go
Maybe you should get in a job that's in high demand.
Oh, that's right. I don't work a job in high demand, so
he's definitely a tech.
You understand that it's not available to everyone, and I got lucky because I'm an exception to the rule.
He's definitely a tech bro, 98%.
What's your job still?
I oversee restaurants, about 60 of them.
What do you mean oversee? Like, what do you go to each one?
Oversee? What does that mean?
No, I review the numbers at the end of the day. It's just finance.
So you're a financial analyst.
My mom and dad
pretty much.
60 McDonald's, and they
see the books.
pay me to
yes.
say, okay,
you don't oversee the whole
this
thing,
person is.
Well, you did say
everything, but mainly I just focus on numbers, specifically labor and food costs.
So if you got lucky and you're trying to, I don't know.
How old are you by chance?
Approaching my 30s.
He is a slave.
You're in 30s. Okay.
Snow is a slave.
So you visiting 50 states for vacation? Does that mean you actually know?
No, not for vacation. For work specifically. for work.
Travels around.
Okay, so you're just
in the
focusing
small
on
towns
restaurants
where
there.
like
You
not
don't
everyone
go
has.
around the entire state.
No, I do. I
You
do.
don't sit there and interview people all over the state. You just go focus on your job there at those restaurants.
He opens it
No,
up
I
on his
see
iPad.
That's not
these
you.
towns in person. I
Model,
see these
by
towns
the
in
way.
person. I
You're
visited.
hyperboliking your experience.
No, I'm not.
Here's my perception. Correct me
I
if I'm wrong.
understand that people's economic
You're
situation
exaggerating
is
so
getting
fucking
worse.
much just
I look at
You
numbers.
are upper middle class, bordering on high class individuals.
And I understand that people's economic situation is getting worse, and I would want it to get better for them. Why would I want the
I
US,
would have a
the US dollar
dollar
devaluing?
every time
wants
you
things to get better
said,
for
I
them.
understand everyone's economic situation.
No, I never said I understand the economic
Christ.
situation. I understand that people have different economic situations.
No, I'm trying to be in good faith. I'm not trying to attribute a worldview.
I'm not saying I
think
understand
you have.
everyone's.
Okay.
I said I understand people's different economic situations.
Here's the difference. I empathize for people's experience, but I don't let their experience dictate my own. That's why I was talking about love over wisdom mentality. I don't have this bleeding heart mentality.
You have a bleeding heart mentality for Trump. You say that he can't be wrong, even though you disagree with what he's doing.
I just said in this conversation, if we're saying that he's a narcissist, we can use that against him. We can say, hey, if you're truly a populist...
Yeah, but you just said earlier, about 20 minutes ago, that you support what he's doing.
Yeah, until he doesn't. Until the numbers still show.
On tariff specifically. Hey, guess what? If he goes sideways and says, you know what, the Constitution's bullshit, I don't like it, no one's ever liked it, I'm suspending Congress, I'm now Supreme Leader, guess what? I now have to pick up a gun and defend my country.
So I have a question. When the Constitution says we have the Supreme Court, right? And then they are installed with the judicial powers, and any lower courts created by Congress are installed with the same judicial powers. Hold on. And lower courts are installed with the same judicial power, right?
God. Is this the Abrego Garcia thing, or are you talking about his executive
No,
order?
I'm talking about just in general. When they say they don't have to listen. I'm not talking about just Garcia. I'm talking about just in general when they say they don't have to listen to district and circuit courts.
Why should a district judge have more power than the president?
No. Executive. Hold on. Because if you 3 equal branches of government, judicial, executive, and legislative. It doesn't say one is above the other. Why is the president above the judicial?
Judicial have more power than somebody.
I'm not saying they have more power. I'm saying they're equal.
That's essentially what the municipal judges are trying to do when they stonewall.
No, because they can make decisions on behalf of the Supreme Court because they have the same judicial powers.
The Supreme Court, and it gets decided whether or not it can be overturned.
The Supreme Court ruled against him.
Same thing that happened with the Abrego Garcia deportation.
Oh my God. And the Supreme Court said that these people are entitled to due process. And then literally a week later, they're sending 20 plus immigrants.
The Alien Act of 1789.
Holy.
And also
the Alien Act doesn't.
All right, guys, I think we need to have a competition. We're going to drop Snow and Talthor in different places in Southern America. We're going to blindfold them. And they're both going to be equal distance from civilization. And we're gonna Hansel and Gretel their path. They're gonna follow. They're gonna get all their needs along the way on the path. They're gonna go out, and then they arrive in civilization, and we're gonna see who builds up America first. That's the reality show. We're gonna watch them with drones. It's gonna be a great TV show. We're gonna put a bunch of stuff in the middle of the Amazon forest, and then they're both gonna have to walk to civilization, and then they meet a tribe. Of I don't know. I don't know. We should just make them like just a bunch of blacks from like Section 8 housing, but like tell them that that they have to act like they're Africans and be like super superstitious, and they have to build civilization. I think that would be hilarious. And we drop Snow and Talthor in there, and then we just watch them and see who kills himself first, because they both think that they know what's going on. So I think they need to show up. We're gonna put guy with silver and gold versus guy with restaurants. See, these are the true evils that you have. It's these motherfuckers. It's the millionaires. It's not the billionaires that are the issue. The billionaires are there because they played their give. They know the loop. That's how you make the big money, is knowing the loop. It's because they aren't greedy. They sacrifice. That's how you get to the billion. That's how you get to these upper echelons. It's because you've proven that you are for a cause or something. Most people squander it. So let's drop Snow in Talthor in the middle of the Amazon forest, and let's see who can build civilization first. All right, now back to the motherfucker album. Back to the motherfucking album. That's a classic me messing up my words.
Yeah, were those guys naturalized?
No.
It doesn't matter because I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about.
Then the amendment of the Constitution doesn't apply to them.
No, because it says people are entitled to due process if they're in jurisdiction or in United States.
No, it
doesn't.
That due process
let's hold up.
differently when you're now considered a part of a foreign terrorist group.
That's
and Abrego Garcia.
So my question is, if Trump labels you as part of a terrorist group,
well, you just
and he
changed
just get rid of
it. You
you,
just changed
no, I'm just out of curiosity. I'm not changing
no curiosity.
anything.
What do you think about the 14th
The
Amendment?
government is free to accuse me of being a part of a terrorist group.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
can do it all the
very
time.
easily
That's what
going to be
courts are for.
disproved. Elbow.
Yes, but you don't have option to court and due process. You just said it's what courts are for.
Yeah, for citizens.
Dude, oh my God! It does. The Constitution does not say due process.
The 14th Amendment says your jurisdiction of citizens and naturalization people.
Shut up.
So, what are you doing here?
Hey, I have
the Fifth Amendment says for all persons.
The 14th says for natural citizens.
Okay. Why would they have killed me?
Let me interject here for a moment. Let me interject for just a moment. Hold on. So even if it was all citizens, even if it was all people and not all citizens, I could understand that up to a point, but then you kind of have to look at the state of America right now. It's a growing problem for us. It's not like one foreigner showed up and ruined somebody's day and then we witch hunt that guy. It's it's happening on a really, really large scale around the country, obviously in border communities. So it's yeah, okay, I understand due process and, does that right extend to all people and not just U.S. citizens? I didn't Google it, but that's
real
what
quick,
we're talking
in the 14th
about.
Amendment, even
at a certain point,
I was going
though,
off the Fifth Amendment.
at a certain point, you got to be okay, is this the best policy anymore?
Wait, hold on. I was going off the Fifth Amendment, but even in the 14th Amendment, I just looked up, and Karate Cat just stated it. No persons, it says. It does not say U.S. citizens. So even in the 5th and 14th, it says
Are we
persons.
completely ignoring that the Alien Act of 1789
acts don't supersede the Constitution.
as a terrorist organization?
Holy
so it's almost like
shit, dude.
there's a whole bunch of laws and things that we have to take into account other than just the Constitution.
So to say that the acts don't supersede it, then you're kind of really bringing it into a whole separate conversation of exactly how much power should an executive order have.
Dude, executive orders aren't executive orders aren't law, and they do not supersede the Constitution. Do you not
but we
understand
still
that?
allow them. But listen, though, hold on. But yes, I understand that. But we still allow them to happen. So they exist for
actually,
a reason,
before
right?
Trump, before Trump, they actually listened to the courts when they were blocked.
Is there any? Okay, hold on. Let's ask Chat.
I'm sorry. Is Andrew Jackson
somebody
not
GPT this?
Yeah, Andrew Jackson does come to mind.
Somebody GPT.
Oh yeah, Andrew Jackson is one exception, but majority of
presidents
one
enacted a executive order that may have conflicted with the Constitution. Because I guarantee he's not the only one.
Oh, do you want Joe Biden
this isn't the first time
actually refund all that student debt?
This has come up.
Does that not ring a bell?
But do you like the executive branch having that much power?
It's fine.
Do you guys not think that all three branches should be equal in power?
You guys would have been okay with Joe
Checks
Biden.
and balances, not just balance.
They should, but the problem with America lately that a lot of people feel is that it creates
completely different
stagnation.
than accusing MS-13 of being a terrorist organization. Those are two completely different things.
But that wasn't the
MS-13.
I'm not arguing.
Heads off and stuff.
I'm not arguing.
My question was,
How about
do you guys
that?
like the executive having that much power? You guys said, yeah, that's fine. And then there's nothing wrong with what Joe Biden did.
No,
Correct?
hold on. That much power to do what?
To create an executive order that should supersede the Constitution or laws.
You know what? If we're going to have a lame duck bureaucracy that doesn't do anything, I'd rather have somebody who's going to be the bull in the china shop and actually does something. So,
I agree. My entire
Just so-
lifetime, it's been an inch this
Just
way.
so
an
I
inch that
understand
way.
clearly.
It's like let's
Just so
just
I-
roll the dice.
Hold on, just so I understand clearly, is that you guys want a government with one person having all the power with no checks and
I didn't
balances?
say that. I said
what do you want?
Bureaucracy.
Oh no,
which you
Snow,
seem
how
to
about you
not
just
believe.
stop
You
fucking
seem to be
spinning,
okay.
bro.
I don't want to accuse you, but you seem to like the government way more than I do.
No, I never said I like the government.
Then why are you trying to?
He's an insider.
I don't even
So,
know.
okay.
He's undercover, guys.
So in principle, no, I do not want one person to have all the power. But then you have to look at the context. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish, please. You have to look at the context of the situation where America is stuck in this stagnant swamp of like, it moves an inch this direction and it moves an inch that direction, and it never really goes far enough either direction for you to see what the outcome would have been. So like, after watching that play out for the majority of my millennial lifetime, I was born in 92. Yeah, at this point, I would actually kind of like to see like maybe one guy just shake it up a little bit. Do I want that to happen from here on out forever in matter of principle? No, not necessarily, but just given the fact that everybody tries to push and nothing moves, if this is what it takes to just give a chance at making a push, I mostly just want to see it play out. It's not even that like I'm swearing fucking permanent allegiance, to Trump, but it's just like I just want to see him shake things up. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see.
I agree with that almost 100%.
Yeah, but at what extent are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up power to the executive branch in order to see this happen?
It depends, yeah, because we're playing a lot of what ifs. Like, don't you see how this? Hold on. We're like, don't you see how if the apple falls down off the tree, it could roll downhill and cause destruction? Well, like, yeah, obviously, like I understand the risk for that if it just completely snowballs in one direction. But like, there's a timeline that we're all watching the timeline play out. So like, at the point that it does become, bad for all of us, A, we're all going to realize it, and B, public support is going to drop. So I don't think it's fair to like.
Why would matter when they have the power?
We already see the consequences of that, right?
Power.
Like, yeah.
Nope. It's all soft.
Like,
there is no hard power. It's spread out.
Pretty bad, actually.
Yeah.
Like my question,
how we gave the president like the unilateral right to like bomb anybody who's a terrorist, like 9/11.
Like my question to that is like you're okay is like just so I can summarize real quick. Zenji is that you're okay with someone having like absolute power if they shake up the system. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not. No, that's not what I said. I just said in this situation, I understand.
In this situation, yeah, but
just enough to shake things up.
Let me answer your question.
Yeah, well,
I just wanted to situation. It makes me wonder if maybe, just letting it happen might not be such a bad thing. It's not that I think that we should have, I never once said America should have a totalitarian leader who can just
want to let it happen right now.
Yeah, just let it happen right now. Because
that is like the argument. Like,
this has never happened.
My guy got in power. Let my guy like have complete power, and then like next time.
I mean, come on, you guys are acting.
Hold on, we just
you guys are acting like the guy told you couldn't go outside. Like,
no,
Jesus.
I'm not acting like that, but I'm acting like, hey, someone in Maryland was literally had a legal green card, was a permanent resident of the United States, had been here for 15 years, had a wife, had 2 kids, was taken off the street, and they're saying they don't have to bring him back.
Because he had,
it's because he was accused of being a gang member.
Yeah, accused.
Hold on, by the Supreme Court. Okay?
No, he was not. No, he was not.
I was literally just listening to fucking Trump talk about it with the president of El Salvador like 10 minutes.
Wait, hold on. Are you talking about? Wait, the Supreme Court did not accuse him of being a terrorist. Number one. Are you talking about Pam Bondi? Who said that he was? Wait, hold on. Are you talking about?
The Supreme Court said that it was up to El Salvador, but it came into question his personal history.
If you watch the same interview that I watched when they had the president with like all of his cabinet in there and Pam Bondi was referred to, and Pam Bondi said the appellate court and the regular court ruled against it, blah, 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 and all this like bullshit, that was all lies, FYI. Like Pam Bondi did not say a single like truth in her entire... She just blatantly lied on TV.
Lied about what?
Everything she said.
They said that it ruled for the decision. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I was
This
just
is another
listening to it before
humanitarian
I got here.
smokescreen that the media loves to run in the face of actual progress. Hey, guess what? We
What do you mean actual progress? Dude, this guy has never been convicted.
He might be an active participant in MS-13. I guess
Then prove it in court if you have evidence.
Cool. He's being held, and then he'll have a trial.
Dude, no, he's not being held. He's been jailed for life in a CCOT. Are you kidding me?
Okay, let me ask this.
What do you mean, how do we
though.
know
Let me
that?
ask this. If he was,
You
if
just
he
said
was
he was
here
jailed for life. You don't know that.
If he was here for
Then
15
when is he getting
years,
released?
what was
I
the
don't know. You tell
status
me.
of his citizenship? Was he seeking
He had a green card, a permanent
naturalization?
legal. No, he had a green card, a permanent legal
Green
residence.
cards are not permanent. For one, green cards are not permanent.
Specific protection by a immigration judge in Maryland.
Okay,
You
but
guys
I just
don't
want to
live
be
in
clear.
reality.
Green cards are not permanent, though.
What is a green
There's
card?
a huge difference between having a green card and being permanent citizen.
Never been a bitch. Never had a rollie on the wrist.
Hold on,
I know people that I used to live with in Vegas that were
I'm reading right off. Hold on, I'm reading right off.
Residents, but people call it permanent green card. They're interchangeable.
No, hold on.
Well, the only thing that makes a green card permanent is if you're willing to pay an immigration lawyer like
Hold on, when you're
5
granted
to
a green card,
15
right off.
years
Hold
until
on.
you maybe get
Yo, Zenji.
That's
You
how
can
that
still
actually
naturalization is different than permanent residency. I hope you realize that. And a green card, right from the USCIS, a green card is a document issued by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services that grants permanent resident status to the individuals. Do you understand that?
resident status, not permanent citizenship. I never said it was permanent residency.
I'm not talking.
Permanent citizenship.
I'm not talking about citizenship. I said naturalization is different than what I was saying. You still have permanent residence in the United States.
Residency has nothing to do with his rights as a human. It's whether
Yes, because
he's
you
a
are under
citizen
the
of this country or that.
But you are still under the jurisdiction of the United States and living in the United States for 15 years, meaning that due process applies to you.
I mean, dude, people who aren't terrorists get sent home with green cards after a period of time if they weren't able to get naturalized. So, like, it's not like
No,
he's an
they can
extreme
still stay here until it's revoked.
No, that's not true because I know people who were.
One time, we were like, I was at my friend's, and this one friend was Snapchatting this one dude, and like I had like a psychopathic telepathic moment where I was just like, this dude wants to see my penis, so I sent him a picture of my penis because I was old enough. You feel me? Like I think all Go Ned should be free. Hallelujah.
I knew somebody from Honduras that was trying to become a
your
U.S.
anecdotal
citizen
evidence.
that
Hold on, your
every
anecdotal
day for,
evidence.
This commercial break is brought to you by QueenTits.com.
Don't worry about some guy you know.
Your anecdotal evidence of your one story trumps the entire USCIS.gov website.
I'm just telling you, dude, how it works, bro. Like, you come over
and
you
I'm
get
reading
a
it
green
directly
card,
off of the website.
You get to stay if you
dude.
end up paying a lawyer and you constantly see the fucking embassy.
Why don't you just agree with the website I'm reading off of?
You're talking about a visa.
I don't know, dude. I'm just telling you how it works in practice, bro.
Yeah,
No, because I'm reading off the website.
No,
and
it's
you're
not a visa. It is definitely not a visa.
What's the difference
Okay,
between a
regardless
visa and
of
a
how it
green card?
happens, nobody argues that he had the status. So who cares?
Yeah, Max.
He had
Has
the
anyone here
status.
actually seen someone go through the process, the naturalization process?
Yeah, I have.
Yes, I do. I literally, my wife's parents are from the Philippines, and their grandma still has a green card, and she has permanent
Oh my
residence status
god, you
here.
have a wife?
Yes, why wouldn't I, dude?
Oh my lord.
Okay, because
So
I came here
her
just to
green card
fucking
has
know.
permanent residence.
Who married this fucking douchebag, dude? Who married this guy? Who married this guy? I oversee 60 restaurants, and he says I'm in finance. He says I'm in finance. Just fucking say I'm a nepo baby piece of shit. I work for mommy and daddy. Why do you say shit like that? It's got the same energy as saying I'm in custodial engineering. Like, I have more respect for a sandwich artist. I thought you were 14. Atlas is actually 20.
Right hand up and swore allegiance to the United States, and I became a citizen. That's what happened.
Where was that at?
This was in San Diego.
Oh no, he
He's
doesn't
gonna say it's fake. It wasn't real. It wasn't real. You know.
But what I'm saying is, like, I don't care about the
Your
NHL
social security card that you have.
Give me grow up and give me a break. I'm just curious
Then why are
because
you asking where?
region.
What does it matter?
Why don't we just go off
because
of
region might play a factor into it.
No, it
Jesus,
doesn't.
it
These are
happened.
universal policies. It's a federal
Okay,
process.
no. Relax. He said it happened in San Diego, which is in California. So yeah, I could understand.
It's a federal program.
I could understand if it was California, it might be a little bit less of a
It
pain
is
in the
federal.
ass.
You are retarded.
It's a
Only the
federal
federal government can give citizenship.
Dude, dude.
Holy shit! You guys are making some retarded arguments right now.
No, because guys,
Okay,
when
listen.
people come in off the street in California, they just
We're
stamp them
derailing
automatically.
here.
You know,
The core
people line
argument
up,
was whether or
stamp
not
your
a
citizen,
green
stamp your
card.
citizen.
Listen, we're derailing. The core argument here was whether or not a green card provided you full citizenship rights.
It actually, well,
and then we started talking about the fifth. Okay, no, this is what we were talking about.
I did not say citizenship. Hold on, real quick. I did not say citizenship. I said
the argument was whether or not
the phrase I said.
You fucking stay here. It makes you a legal permanent resident. Which
dude, we were talking about the guy getting shipped to.
Yes, I said he was a legal U.S. resident.
Legal permanent resident. There are a lot of ways you can use a green card.
You have, all right. People who have green cards are protected by the Constitution. That's a fact.
Actually, everyone is under.
Everyone under U.S. jurisdiction and on United States soil is entitled. Oh my god, dude!
A terrorist organization.
Left is no.
I mean, yeah, but to be clear, like MS-13 isn't like the poor boys from Fifth Street. Like these people like to head people. So if you're, I'm just saying, if you choose to identify with that organization, it's not my problem if the government fucking decides that people who head people are
Can we
terrorists.
always talk about the government always says that they have
Can I just say real quick?
never show it ever?
Can I just say?
You can't just say this person MS-13 and
you can't. The reason why we have checks and balances and why we have a court system is so that people just don't say, "Hey, you're a part of a terrorist organization. You're a part of a gang." They round you up and send you off to a foreign prison, and you have no recourse whatsoever.
I get that, but if our whole country, if all of our border cities are like rampant with crime, and the
no, they aren't, dude. Holy shit! All our cities are not. All our border cities are not rampant with crime.
What?
I mean,
the stuff you believe is just
I
wild.
would argue that. I would argue that, but you're entitled to your opinion.
Then we look at. Hold on, we could talk about.
You would argue that
where are you at?
relevant to the point that's being made.
Dude, we could talk about Springfield, Illinois being rampant with crime, and it's isolated from any border.
No. Just log into your. Do you know what the Citizen app is?
Springfield, Ohio, by the way, but still, that's still irrelevant to the point that's being made, right? Like you're pivoting now off of the fact that he was a permanent resident, and permanent residents deserve due process, and now you're pivoting away from that, saying our border states are rampant with crime. How do those two things correlate?
That's a little scarecrow.
I mean, I was the one that said that, not him. But
yeah, I'm talking.
Yeah,
I'm talking
no shit. That's why he's directing it towards you. I mean, I wasn't the one that said that green card provided permanent residency, which provided you rights as U.S. citizens. I brought that into question.
But it does, though. So now
you don't even need it.
But does it? But does it? Because now we're getting subjective. No, listen. We've reached. No, hold on. We've reached the subjective point in the conversations.
No, because the Supreme Court has already ruled.
It's not set. I don't know about that, dude. I feel like we've reached the subjective point.
Okay, hold on. Zen, can I ask you
this is where the debate begins, not you're right or I'm wrong.
No, then real quick.
Zen, can I ask you a question?
Jade.
Does the Supreme Court, just the Supreme Court, I'm not going to talk about federal courts because I know everyone's opinion about that. Does the Supreme Court have the authority to say, no, the way you're applying this law is illegal? You can't do it. Do they have that power?
Yes.
Yeah, they have that power. Yep, sure.
Okay, so can I ask you a question? Right, when you're saying that, or just in general, when we say that, green card holders don't have the same rights, or even, not even just that, illegal immigrants, not even green card holders, don't have that same right. Would you be surprised that the Supreme Court ruled in 1903, or way past the 1798 Aliens Edition Act, 1903, To address the Japanese immigrant case, they reviewed the legality of deporting illegal aliens, clarifying. I'm going to read it word for word. An alien who has entered the country and has become subject in all respects to its jurisdiction and part of the population could not be deported without an opportunity to be heard upon the questions involving his rights to be and remain in the United States. Further clarifying, aliens who have once passed through our gates, even illegally, may be expelled only after proceedings conforming to traditional standards of fairness encompassed in due process of the law. That was the Supreme Court.
Does that include terrorists? Does that include groups that belong to terrorist organizations?
But now consider for a moment that in 1903 things were a little different than they are in 2020.
Can I just
ask? Why are we talking about 1798 law?
No. How are they different?
Can I finish?
How are they
Let you
different?
read the whole damn thing.
Can I ask a question?
How are they different? Okay, the world is way different from 1903 right now.
Okay, what about 1798?
How legal?
Oh my God! Everybody else gets to talk. Can I finish? You're going to ask me a question.
I think we're avoiding an important factor here. What planet are the aliens exactly from?
Shut up, Squiddy.
Cool.
Nice joke. Anyway.
Okay. Anyways, maybe in 1903 that was the right thing to do. But we're not living in an example right now where having a bleeding heart to this maximum sentient of everyone's a citizen and everyone deserves rights is going to create a win for us. We're actually in the other end of it now. We've been too
Wait, hold on,
gentle
Robert, just so I understand. I just want to. I don't mean to cut you off.
Let him finish. It's in the way of people's daily lives. We've let it play out so long that now we're living in the other extreme example of it. It's we were so nice. We let everybody come here. It jocks up the court systems because everybody needs due process. It's it sounds mean now, but if you have a little bit too much.
If the aliens are from Mars, I think it should be allowed.
Making two different arguments. You're making two.
You just agreed.
Jade is saying that it is legal. You are saying should it be legal? Those are two different arguments.
And I just
and that
asked you, does the Supreme Court have the authority to make that checks and balances? And you said, in 1903, well, it doesn't matter because they haven't reversed that decision. And not only have they not reversed that decision.
All right, I'm done. It's getting hot in here. It's been an hour anyways.